downtown Millheim. In the smack dab center of the Keystone State, this is Lou Bryson with Seen Through a Glass, a podcast that's mostly about food and drink in central Pennsylvania. Welcome to episode 88, Oktoberfest. It's the best! I've mentioned Oktoberfest often on the show. We talked about drinking Oktoberfest beer way back in episode 2. We've been to the Mifflinburg Oktoberfest several times, and I've got the mugs to prove it. And of course, there's the Millheim Oktoberfest every year, and we've been volunteering and welcoming out-of-town friends to that for years. Oktoberfest beer has been my choice for what I'm drinking today 3 or 4 times. I love the stuff, and though I'd love to drink it year-round, it's a pivotal swing of my beer year when it comes and goes, and I welcome that. I've had both kinds of Oktoberfest and love them both. More about that later. I've also been to the original Munich Oktoberfest twice, and if you've never been, well, you just wouldn't believe what it's actually like. We're going to talk about all of that in more detail, and the food, and the incredible amount of beer the Germans and their guests drink at Oktoberfest. Oh, and the interview. I promised you a return interview with our most popular guest ever, and I not only got that, his brother joined us. I went down to Hershey and talked about Oktoberfest beer with John and Chris Trogner, founders and chief executives of Tröegs Independent Brewing. So let's have a beer and get going. Here's what I'm drinking today. What I'm drinking today is, well, naturally, an Oktoberfest. I've mentioned before that I'm a very happy recipient of regular samples from New Glarus Brewing in Wisconsin. I'm going to be having a can of their freshly released Staghorn Oktoberfest. It arrived at the house only 4 days ago. It's a deep amber lager, weighing in at 6.3% ABV. They call it Wisconsin's Real Red. Dan Carey, the founder brewer, is partial to German styles, and he puts a lot of love into this one. Let's jump in. You see the picture on the Instagram page. A lot of foam on this. Beautiful, classic look to it. I'm not sure that I'd say deep amber. I think it's just amber, and it's a nice look. It's what you expect. So, the aroma is that kind of rich, fresh bread, and a little bit of sweetness, and a little bit of just a hint of herbal hop as well. Wow, that bready note is just fantastic. Let's have this. Oh boy. So, good body, not heavy, but not dry and light. It's not overly sweet and cloying. It's right there in the middle, which is right where you want it. Yeah. There's not so much a hint of bitterness, which is what I was about to say, but actually what there is a very broad balance. As you'll hear us talking about in the interview, Oktoberfest beer leans heavily on malt character, and the hops are really there kind of to keep the malt in line, to keep it from getting overly sweet, and this is doing that job. There's maybe a bit more hop here than I'm used to in the classic Germans, but it is by no means intrusive. Oh man, especially in the finish. The finish comes on strong with the malt. This is a great beer. This would be an all-day beer in that it would never get saturating. Your third one would taste as good as the first one and not be coating your tongue with anything. Boy, that's really good beer. I wish we could get it more easily here in Pennsylvania. We can't get it at all, to be honest. So I hope some of you who are listening have a line on some New Glarus Staghorn Oktoberfest. Now, Oktoberfest beers always make me think of food pairings because it's such a great food beer. So it's time to remind you that this episode of Seen Through a Glass is brought to you by Del Grosso Foods, America's oldest family-owned producer of pasta sauce. Last episode, I told you about the original line of Del Grosso sauces, which are pantry staples here in House Bryson and sold at grocery stores in or near Pennsylvania. What if you don't live near Pennsylvania? No fear. Both the Del Grosso Organic and La Familia Del Grosso lines of sauces can be found across most of the USA. Del Grosso Organics are organic, no sugar added pasta sauces. The newest in the line is a one-of-a-kind certified organic Alfredo sauce made with organic cream, butter, Romano, and Parmesan cheeses, And yes, it's made in that new plant I told you about in the Del Grosso episode. Kathy and I opened a jar of it last week and had some of it on pasta with roasted zucchini and some on baked chicken. It's light, it's delicious, and it's not all gelled up like jarred cream sauces can be. We've been eating the La Familia Del Grosso specialty sauces even before I met the actual Del Grosso family. And these are the ones that are made from the whole, peeled, imported Italian plum tomatoes I told you about, and you can taste the difference. Each one of these sauces was created by a different member of the Del Grosso family. My favorite is Uncle Jim's Late Night Puttanesca. I just love the savory depth of Puttanesca. This is a good one. For a list of retailers across the country where you can find all of the Del Grosso sauces, visit delgrossofoods.com. My thanks to Del Grosso Foods for their support of the podcast. Why talk Oktoberfest when it's still August? Well, why not? Oktoberfest beers are on the shelves already. My friend Chuck Triplett, who's a bit more obsessed with Oktoberfest beer than most people, posted his first sighting on August 1st, a six-trap of Von Trapp Fest beer. You'll hear in the interview that Tröegs aims at getting Oktoberfest to the wholesalers by that first week in August. What drives that? Well, some of it is the event itself. You may or may not know that Oktoberfest is traditionally mostly in September. The Munich Oktoberfest runs for 16 days, and the last day is always the first Sunday in October. This year, that's September 19th through October 4th, so that's one reason. You want to be ready for those of us who know. The other reason is also in the interview. Beer wholesalers want to buy all their Oktoberfest at once, the drop, they call it, and get it out there on the shelves, because they know that American beer drinkers won't be buying any Oktoberfest beer in November. And most of them will be buying it in the later half of October because they'll be buying pumpkin beers for Halloween. This makes me nuts, honestly, because fest beer is great with Thanksgiving dinner. And if I drink all that I bought before that, there's no more to be found, which would be really poor planning on my part. You'll also hear me ask John Trogner what kind of Oktoberfest beer they make. First, generally, Oktoberfest beers are lagers, usually between 5.5% and 6.3% ABV. They're not light beers, but they're not headbangers either. But beyond lager, there are 4 different ways to name the stuff. There's Oktoberfest beer, and there's Fest beer, but there's also 2 less-known names, Märzen and Wiesen. The first 2 are obvious, pretty much 2 words for the same thing. The others need a bit of history. Märzen is from the German word for the month of March, März. A Märzen is literally a March thing, because before the invention of mechanical refrigeration, the last beers of the brewing season were brewed in March when they could still be cooled by the ambient temperature, and then fermented, barreled, and stored in caves over the summer. Once the new beer was brewed in the fall, the last of the Märzen beer would be rolled out and enjoyed, and the long storage, the lagering, made for an exceptionally smooth beer. At least, that's what we're told. Truth is, hardly anyone's done that for over 150 years, because mechanical refrigeration revolutionized brewing, and brewers could make beer year-round. Märzen became a stronger, amber-colored beer after the development of Vienna malt, a roasted malt with more toasty caramel notes than the drier Munich malt. And that's the way it was for decades, until the 1950s, when Augustiner introduced a blonde, drier beer at the fest that they called Wiesen, after the meadow park where the fest was held, the Theresienwiesen, Teresa's Meadow. It got a big boost when Paulaner started making a similar beer in the 1970s. By 1990, the pale Wiesen beer was the only kind being served at the Oktoberfest. But here in America, we still want that Märzen. And most of the German brewers oblige and make the old style. Some of them, like Hofbrau, send us Wiesen. Most American brewers make the Märzen style. Elk Creek's is, while Tröegs kind of straddles the line a bit with a lighter version of Märzen. John gets into more detail on this in the interview. After all that beer history, let's get a bit of fest history. Oktoberfest started when Crown Prince Ludwig of Bavaria married Princess Theresa of Saxe-Hildburghausen in 1810. It was a very big deal, and there was a public celebration of the marriage centered around feasting and horse races on a meadow outside the walls of town. The people of Munich had such a good time that they expected, and it sounds like kind of demanded it again the next year. And the grassy site was dubbed Teresa's Meadow. They've been doing it ever since, with short breaks for wars, famines, plagues. plagues like cholera in the 1800s and COVID, which shut the festival down in 2020 and 2021, which was a huge economic blow to Munich because they lost the income of 7 million tourists each year. Imagine. What's the Munich Oktoberfest like? Well, if you've ever seen the Oktoberfest sequence in The Pink Panther Strikes Again, where multiple assassins attempt to kill Inspector Clouseau as he walks through the fest, that's actually pretty accurate. Teeming crowds of happy people, many in traditional Bavarian dress, most singing along with the bands, lots of food, lots of beer, and a whole lot of foreign tourists. They're usually not assassins. I actually have an odd personal note here. I was in Munich on a high school class trip when that movie was being filmed. We met one of the actors who was staying at our hotel, British comedian Graham Stark, who had a memorable bit part in the movie as the German hotel clerk who tells Peter Sellers that his dog does not bite. When Sellers pets the dog and gets bitten, Stark calmly responds, "That is not my dog." It was just kind of a cool little thing. When I was older and actually went to the fest, to the Wiesn for the first time and saw the traditional foods, the big soft pretzels, huge cookies, roast chickens, roast ox sandwiches, cotton candy, and steckerfish, grilled whole fish on a stick, and crowds of all ages, a big Ferris wheel and a roller coaster, it struck me as kind of the German equivalent of something like the Minnesota State Fair, but with a lot more beer. How much more? The average consumption these days for the full 16 days of Munich Oktoberfest is 6.5 to 7 million liters of beer. It is the largest beer festival in the world. The biggest beer festival in the United States, for comparison, is the Cincinnati Oktoberfest. And while they do drink a lot of beer, total consumption there is about 800,000 liters, about 12% of Munich's event. There are 13 big tents at the Oktoberfest serving beer, an additional wine tent, which also serves beer, and a bunch of smaller tents, mostly focused on food or games, but also serving beer. And they're called tents because they were originally meant to be temporary structures and taken down to leave the huge open field free again as a city park the rest of the year. They're not tents anymore, and they haven't been for decades. They're large halls with bandstands for brass bands, kitchens, beer service, large balconies for VIPs, and the big main floor seating as many as 8,000 people, with more seating outside. But they're still temporary structures. Constructions of these big halls starts in late June, with the smaller tents and the big carnival rides going up in August, and all the decorative details, fences, and ticket booths going up in early September. Knockdown begins the day after the fest ends, and by mid-November, it's all gone. Which reminds me of one more detail. I was in the VIP seating one night up in the balcony at the Paul Anner tent, and last call was 10:30 with closing time at 11. And I remember looking at the floor when the music stopped around 10:50, and it was still hopping. Then I realized it was getting quiet, and I looked over the balcony edge again at 11:03, and the place was all but empty. There were maybe 8 or 9 people scurrying across the floor to leave. Because Germany, I guess, when it's closing time, you leave. Let's talk to Chris and John Trogner about their Oktoberfest beer and a bit about their lagers in general. I was down there last week, and we sat down in Chris's office with some Oktoberfests to have a talk. Enjoy. Hey, I'm at Tröegs Independent Brewing with Chris Trogner and John Trogner. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
John Trogner here.
Yep. And Chris.
Thank you. We're here to talk Oktoberfest because it's that time of year. We're actually drinking Oktoberfest, and it looks great. It tastes great. How long have you been making an Oktoberfest?
Boy, that's a great question.
How long is this? 30 years?
We're going to be 30 years next year.
Okay,
is our birthday.
29. Okay.
We never called it an Oktoberfest, but early on, we had 4 beers we started with. The 4th beer was what we called Bavarian Lager.
Oh, right.
Which basically was an Oktoberfest.
Okay.
We wanted to sell it year long, and so we didn't want to just confine it to one time.
Yeah, that's the only problem with Oktoberfest, isn't it? You just kind of want to drink it all the time, but I don't know, the seasonality makes it special, so...
Yeah, it's always a fun time of the year, too. At least I look forward to it when you get cool nights and multi-lagers by far. But we've been brewing something similar for a number of years, and then probably had it as a brewery-only beer for probably about 10 years.
Okay.
And then I think it's been now this is our 4th year, I believe, for distribution in bottles.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
People like it? Big seller?
I think people like it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It is. The longevity says it all. If a beer's around that long,
Okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
someone's got to like it. Otherwise, it just disappears.
Yeah.
Not
No.
just us loving it.
It does very well, but as from a market standpoint, like it's a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's 2 months, so it's pretty much a one drop and go.
But like we really love to tie into celebrations. So
Okay.
building fans for life is kind of our mantra, and the best way we think we can do that is through celebration. So Oktoberfest being a pretty recognizable beer celebration,
Right.
It kind of goes hand in hand with great beer, great times, great people, and I think the best time of year. Fall for me is my
Likewise.
close first to second to the coldest time of year. I'm also a very, very cold liking guy, but yeah, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm right with you there. Actually, I'm going to take that question out of order here because we kind of are talking about it already. This is already out on the market, right?
Just came out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it came out early August?
We usually shoot for the first week of August to start shipping.
What's the story? I mean, and we're just going to kind of step aside and look at a little bit of business here, and so I'm glad you are with us. The story on timing releases of Oktoberfest and other seasonally linked beers like Master of Pumpkins, Mad Elf. How do you figure to do that?
Some of them are kind of dictated more from the retailer than it is the brewery. I think for some releases, not all. Like you had mentioned, Master of Pumpkins. For us, we're late to the party every year with Master of Pumpkins because we wait. We actually have our pumpkins grown throughout the season.
Oh, okay.
And they're actually harvesting them right now. Then we roast them. Then we brew.
Wow.
So our pumpkin beer doesn't come out until, probably closer to Halloween. Where everyone else's pumpkin beers right now are pretty much in the market.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, some places are starting to run out of them by mid-October.
So some of the they are some of the feedback that we get, at least from retailers, is you kind of they want to buy in at once, and when one's ready, the others kind of have to follow, or you miss that buy-in, which may sound silly, but it's pretty important because you don't want to miss a seasonal buy-in, or you don't want them to use up their dollars with someone else's beer, basically.
Okay,
that's it right there. That's
so.
the key.
That's primarily like sometimes that dictates it a little bit more than the brewing schedule. Our thinking with Oktoberfest is really we're hoping to get to retail by Labor Day. So really the season to sell Oktoberfest is after Labor Day. So September, October is really what we feel like is appropriate. And Mad Elf, Halloween's kind of our target. We want to get to market by Halloween. Really to give us 2 months of selling season.
Okay.
For through the holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, if you're trick-or-treating and you have the pull-behind cooler, why wouldn't you want Mad Elf with you?
Of course.
Kind of need to make that as a deadline just for sanity's sake.
I gotta admit, it is one of my favorite Thanksgiving beers. Just because it's rich enough you can put it with anything.
That's my tradition. I put the turkey in the oven and I drink a Mad Elf.
There you go.
Every year since we started making it.
That's great. Yeah. No,
Just
it's
one.
great beer.
Just one.
Okay.
I learned that one the hard way. Just one.
You don't have to make any excuses to me. I don't care. So going back to the beginning of my questions here, we're drinking this. I'm looking at it, and this is where the beer geek question comes. What kind of Oktoberfest is it?
Oh, boy.
Instead, how many Oktoberfest beers are there? I mean,
if you're looking for stylistic classifications, I'm not real good at that, I'm going to say, because I don't care.
Okay.
I don't really care about them. I don't really follow them. I do like to understand the tradition behind the making of the beers in general. In a very simple way, there's tent beer and there's non-tent beer and there's export beer. And I'm very much simplifying. Tent beer is lighter in alcohol and lighter in color and lighter in flavor.
Yeah.
And then you have Oktoberfest, which is a hair maltier. And the German world, that's not a big difference. Like, you go to and have it in Germany, like, there's beer. They'll tell you it's a different beer, and you're like, really, bro? Like, I can't really tell.
Okay.
And then you have export, but then you have the craft version of all that. And the craft version tends to be really heavy-handed and just bigger, Americanized and bigger. Mm-hmm. All beautiful beers, all just done differently through the brewer's point of view. So we're kind of bookmarked here we've had Sunshine Pills on one end and Trogner on the other.
Sure.
So we didn't want to hit either of those. We wanted to find what we thought that sweet spot was, not quite in the middle, but in a way that was close to Oktoberfest. So malty base, usually German Munich malt or Vienna malt, simple step mash. Actually, this one uses a single decoction, so we're taking a portion of the mash and boiling it, and that's what adds that malty complexity. Subtle, though. These aren't crazy flavors.
No, but and I just thank you for that brief explanation of decoction. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so it'll add some Maillard flavors and complex subtleties to it. And then this is a classic German yeast, same as Trogner with German hops. So it's like looking for that balance, but crispness and drinkability, but in a way that's interesting. Like, I don't like to think about beers. I will say that. Like, I don't want to sit down and geek out and like dissect anything. But this is like the perfect food beer. So if you want to cook with it or cook while drinking it, it's kind of perfect.
Okay.
Because it's also lower in EBV. So we're not going to, like, Trogner is my normal go-to beer. It's my end of the world beer. It's my desert island beer. It's my beach beer. It's my death row beer. But I will say sessioning an 8% beer, it
gets problematic.
Well, you need to zebra stripe it, so you can.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And this isn't that much lower. It's still 6%. So it's not. You said low ABV beer.
Right.
I'm like, well, maybe not.
I guess
low,
these are relative terms. I mean, but if your daily's an 8, then
Yeah,
6
well,
is
this is
low.
lower, yeah.
It's light, almost light beer to me.
Yeah.
Zebra stripes. You separate the bigger beers with something
Big beer, lighter
smaller.
beer. Okay.
Or big beer, something else. Like,
Okay.
It could be a hop water. For
Okay.
instance. It's usually not for me.
It could be.
Could be.
Could be.
In theory. Yeah. Big, little, big, little, big, little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big.
So you brought up the German hops. Let's talk about hops. What is the role of hops in an Oktoberfest?
The role of hops? Well, I mean, in all beers in general, I'll start with the basics. We kind of decide how to or how much to balance the malt flavors or spice flavors or fruit flavors with bitterness. So bitterness helps kind of counteract or be a companion to sweetness. So sometimes you want an overly sweet beer, or you want a just more subtle companion to sweetness. It's kind of a blah, blah, blah answer. But like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the how do we have a good malty backbone and body, and then balance that with just enough hops that it doesn't become cloyingly sweet, because that cloyingly sweet hurts the drinkability aspect of it.
Yeah.
Not that this is meant to be like when we talk drinkability on a real scale, we're like, can we drink 3 of them in 15 minutes? This isn't on that scale.
That's a real test.
Yeah.
Real test, Lou. Now you know what your homework is. Right?
Wow. Okay. All right.
How long's the podcast?
You only need 15 minutes.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes, and we do 3 beers. It's going to run 45 minutes.
This one's not meant to pass that test, but it shouldn't be far past that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like some beers aren't meant to have that ability at all. Like big hoppy giant beers, Mad Elf certainly not meant to have that. But once we get in that bucket of trying to be drinkable, but interesting and complex, that's where the hops come in. The hops are really there to either be the main character or the support. In this case, it's a support character. Mm-hmm. So you're adding some for bitterness, enough flavor that you're just not tasting maltiness. You're getting just a hint of that stinky German in this case. Sweaty German is how I sometimes describe it. And then enough aroma.
He's doing a great job selling this beer.
This one doesn't have a lot of hop aroma. Well, I kind of I try to connect.
Good sweat.
I try to connect flavors and aromas with experiences that people can maybe connect or not connect to. And I'm not going to go into mine with Sweaty German, but like there's some stories there that being in tanks and welding with people and having this reminiscent aroma of hops.
Yeah,
but it wasn't hops.
Yeah. Okay.
I had to clarify that's not what this beer smells like.
No, that was that came out of left field for me. I wasn't planning on asking this, but things lead to one another, and I've always been impressed with Trogner because it's clearly malty, but it's not sticky, gross. It's dry at the same time, and this I mean, clearly benefits from that same thing. So let's talk a little bit about yeast and lagering.
We could go back to the origin story of Trogner if you wanted to dive into that on decks.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of came from a trip that I took many, many years ago to Germany and went to the Ondax brewery and had a real fun, inspirational experience, trying their double box.
Sure.
And not just the beer itself, but kind of being there in the monastery and walking up the hill and having pork knuckle and turkey legs and pretzels and having too many of the double box. And I think that's when we came home and just said, this is a real fun style. It's a style that you don't notice how strong it is until you've had one or two and you stand up.
Yeah.
But it has delicious flavor. And we thought that not a lot of breweries at that time really were even making one, craft breweries in the U.S. And that was probably 2001 or 2000 something. It was a long time ago for us, but
I didn't get to go on that trip. Oh. So Chris rolls in with a buddy of ours and U-Rails through Germany. And this is like pre-cell phone that takes you where you need to go type thing.
Yeah.
So really a good experience on picking up ideas or inspiration at each stop. And then kind of came home and tried to describe what these beers were. I mean, I've had box at that point, of course, but they're, what came over on the boat and usually pretty old and very caramely and sweet. And but just like hearing the excitement behind the experience, we tried to design the recipe based on that. Not that beer, but that overall like impression of what a double bock could be. So the key to it was to make it as dry enough that you could have two and subtle enough that you didn't taste 8% alcohol. Mm-hmm. So that was a fun balance. So, using what's called a step mash opens up the fermentability of the wort you're getting from the grain. So you're using different temperatures in the mash just to awaken different enzymes that then break down the starches into sugar, but in a way that'll fully ferment out. So it's like super dry. And then Trogner actually has an elevated hop component to it. Not that you can taste it, but it takes that to help balance out the heat.
Right.
Or the maltiness.
The maltiness, yeah.
So those 3 points have to come together. Alcohol actually thins things out, which sounds weird, but it's lighter than water. And then you have the maltiness and the hops. So like putting those components together, how we did Trogner is exactly how we did Oktoberfest. We just lightened the load a little bit.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
We're traveling to Germany next week. We were trying to figure out if we could kind of recreate that trip, but I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah,
we have our own beer journey going on.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wanted to ask you about what I knew you were going. What's going on? Is hop harvest or?
The primary reason for the trip is we're going through a pretty major installation process of new software to run the brewery.
Oh, okay.
And the company we're working with, their headquarters is there, so small teams going out to kind of basically see and learn while brewing. We'll probably do a collaboration beer, I think, there at their brewery, just to get more familiar with the system before we go through the final install here. So, but that's the reason. But of course, we're gonna create our own journey, like we're there, right?
Sure.
So,
right. Right. You'd be stupid not to.
Yeah.
Chris doesn't have to learn how the automation works.
No. But yeah, we hope to visit a handful of breweries. We have a couple lined up for tours and samplings and see just parts of Germany that I haven't been to. I don't know if John has, but yeah, it'll be a fun working 5 days.
So we have 3 main German suppliers, if you look at it this way. So we'll fly into Frankfurt and go to the company that makes our tanks.
Okay.
The big tanks out back.
Yeah.
And then at some point we'll hit breweries and restaurants and distilleries, and then we'll head on to Austria, actually. So we're going to head east. And along the way, we're going to hit the German supplier for what we call our cold block, or the part of the brewery that handles all the beer that's cold.
Okay.
So from fermentation to packaging. Mm-hmm. So that's another partner of ours that we've been with now for 12 years or so.
At least, yeah.
And the same thing, we'll see breweries. I want to try as many Weiss beers as possible. I'm intrigued with the 2.5-3% beers, so I can't wait to try all those.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of open to explore. Like we have a semi-retired Belgian brewmaster taking us around, so very well known in the industry. I'm not going to go into that on the podcast, but and a great friend of ours. So he's going to be our guide, let's say. And then after Austria, we're going to head back west to Munich. Mm-hmm. So it's like a 14-hour loop. Munich area is where the brew house partner is. So we'll spend some time, a little bit of time there. I have to do a little learning. Mm-hmm. And then some other breweries and pork knuckles and whatever we can
All
find.
that.
Just literally everything we can find and taste. Like the whole idea is we have a lot of energy. We love to explore and can't wait to just try stuff.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to try, but we're going to try everything.
I like that. Okay.
I think people traveling with us, or me at least, might be a little scared, but you don't get to do this very often.
So you got to grab that.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about lager beers all through here. I want to just stuff in a thing. You and I have joked for years about the year of the lager. Yeah, right.
I think we're there.
That's what I was going to ask. It's happened, right?
I'm afraid to say it out loud.
Yeah. So I guess what I wanted to ask is the year of the lager, or a lager time seems to be happening, and there's another jokey kind of thing that comes in there, beer-flavored beer. Mm. Are we seeing a return to beer-flavored beer?
I think it depends on what lens we're looking through.
Okay.
So if we kind of step back and look at alcohol, you kind of have one point of view. You get a little more narrow and just look at beer. It really has been always the year of the lager, because the lager is the best seller. Right. So when we're joking around about it, we're getting a little more narrow, and we're saying our small craft breweries able to break into that larger beer bucket in a way that's scalable in all reality. So it just becomes more prevalent in just non-craft beer arenas or areas. And beer that tastes like beer, I think that's in that bucket, because again, when you look at the world of beer, big beer, it always tasted like beer. Yeah. It's only the craft beer that started to not for a minute, and small little subsets, which is fun and interesting. I'm not talking down on it.
Sure.
It seems to be the brewers in general have always wanted just lagers, because you're around beer all day long, and we really respect the subtlety in making something so subtle and complex and small. So
something you can have 3 of in 15 minutes.
Something you can have. Well, you're not wrong.
It's true.
And even breweries that are well known for their IPAs, I think, still enjoy the challenge of making a lager.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we're also seeing the time where the experience at a tap room's changing. So as that dynamic of customers changing, they're trying to appeal to more people and expand they want to keep the IPAs and keep the IPA lover there, and at the same time get their buddies that like lagers involved, or wine or spirits or whatever it may be. So it's becoming a little wider view of the flavor scale, maybe. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, or that's a stupid way to put it, but
spectrum.
There we go. Yeah. I've always been on the spectrum. Maybe a different spectrum. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, you have we kind of got through this label at the Pennsylvania Lager. Is that working?
It's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And gaining momentum.
Excellent.
I'll say that. So we've kind of had, at least from a sales approach, kind of a slow build. Maybe not a slow build, a consistent build. Primarily Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. We were super delighted. Maryland, it's being received very well, and even New Jersey and the surrounding markets. But no, gaining momentum and finding its place. And we think we're really two things we think are happening. At least we're finding people who know and love Perpetual every now and now will gravitate to something that's a non-IPA. So we're hoping that they find the PA Lager and keep them within the Tröegs family. But we also think we're finding some new audiences too that maybe weren't necessarily even going to craft. Mm-hmm. So it's we're getting it from both sides, and we think long term it's going to be a big beer for us.
It's our number 2 right now.
What? Really?
Number 2 year round. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah. Wow. I just for me, this has always been a thing with me since the first edition of Pennsylvania Breweries came out. The green gold
Yeah.
branding is just brilliant. That's so Pennsylvania. I love that. I don't even know why, but
It's original pale ale colors.
Yeah.
oh really?
Pretty close.
Our
pretty close
original.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tweaked slightly, but yeah.
No, that's great.
No one
kinda
really
where-
knows that. But.
No, you wouldn't, because pale ale hasn't been around for
No,
a
forever.
handful of years, and we got better at the gold. I will
Lou's
say that.
old enough to know.
Lou's
that.
old
oh
enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember those 4 originals. Yeah. And of course, asking for a friend, dark lager,
Dark lager's coming in a month.
big red can, a month. Thank you. Yes.
Here.
Yeah.
Not in distribution.
still just there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We talked about distribution for dark and light and when that would, or even if that would make sense. And
Sure.
we still have so much room or so much work to do with the PA lager that we just didn't want to split our focus.
Okay.
Because it's hard to do a lot at once. But see, if we roll in with Perpetual and PA lager and Graffiti Highway, like that kind of takes our attention. So we throw dark lager in, we get sidetracked a little.
Yeah.
I think it'll have its day.
Uh-huh.
It's just a matter of when it's time.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little tricky too. Like when you talk about shelf space, like we know we're only going to get so many beers on a shelf,
Sure.
and what else do they compete with? So we kind of think about how do we attract a lot of different people? And PA Dark Lager is a phenomenal beer, but it is kind of getting similar to Troganator.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
I mean, different beers, but
Sure.
but you can see some parallels there.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily want to compete with ourselves too much unless we feel like this is the one that is going to take us 5-10 years down the road.
We look a lot, and this is kind of getting into the nitty gritty and how the sausage is made, but you look at how fast a beer sells off the shelf. So it's velocity, basically. Right. Perpetual has our best velocity. PA Lager has our second best now, which is kind of wild, and it's catching up to Perpetual. So somewhere in there, at some point, Dark Lager is going to become a faster turner than something else. We just don't know when that'll happen, but it has all the pieces. It has the right flavor profile. It's the right ABV. It's a companion character to PA Lager, which is also picking up speed. So someday it's going to make sense to have them side by side.
Yeah.
It's just a timing thing. It was observing the market and waiting to see when it's ready for it and making them match.
You're going to have it for more than a month.
Yes.
Right?
We'll have our goal here is to have 6 months of light, 6 months of dark.
Okay.
It's like Alaska, right? Sometimes we have more, sometimes we have less. That's the general rule.
Oktoberfest is on the market. People can find it pretty much anywhere.
Anywhere you can find Tröegs,
yeah.
hopefully.
Should be. I mean, it takes a couple weeks
It's
usually to
filtering
get
out a
it.
little-
Yeah. So it'll take some time, but
Through when?
we like to think through mid to late October
Okay.
at most, and hopefully that's where it will taper off and disappear until next year.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
we're trying to just do a flash, though. So if you like Oktoberfest and you see it,
Go get
I
it.
wouldn't wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like basically one drop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
One and a
It is.
half
All right.
drops. But
Yeah, we're not going to keep rebrewing or repackaging, but
Okay.
September's your month. That's your
Okay.
month.
Yeah, it should be, right? We talked about it being a great food beer. Classic suggestions. What do you like it with?
Oh gosh.
my favorite thing, this isn't going to be anything someone does, but bison tongue braised. With
Probably not
Oktoberfest.
going to be a big.
And then you once you braise it in Oktoberfest, you let it cool down, you peel it, and then you smoke it over a smoker, and then shave it thin with a barbecue sauce of some kind, or pesto, or like something fun. But it traditionally, boiling brats is totally feasible. It's kind of boring for me, but like that's normal.
Make your own brats.
I actually make a lot of mustard with it. Like
okay.
I have a batch of mustard that I'm bringing in for Chris and David this week. Just stuff like that. Like anything that a malty sweetness can add to. Beer batter is another obvious one. Like super obvious.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
But I mean, even not talking about food, it's the perfect campfire beer.
Just sitting there.
Fall nights when the air starts to get kind of cooler and crisp, and you got your back patio campfire going. It's a perfect beer for it.
One of my best beer memories is my wife and her brother and I with a Sixtel of Stouts fest back probably 20 years. and just sitting out under an oak tree and having at it.
That's the life right there.
Yeah.
That's that celebratory memory that I was talking about earlier. You'll always remember that beer because of that celebratory event.
Yeah.
That's what I want to tap into. That's the home run with any of the beers. But Oktoberfest, that's the perfect memory there.
Yeah.
I don't have one of Lederhosen and dancing on tables and stuff like that. I'm sure some other people do.
People probably do.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just
but
that's not a picture I want to have in my mind.
There's a picture of me out on the internet, unfortunately, after Oktoberfest. I think I'm down in an U-Bahn station with a soft pretzel on my head, with the middle eaten out and just on my... Yeah.
That's quite a... we got to find that one.
It's an image. Right. It's an image. Last question, which is a little bit impertinent, but when you're not drinking your own Oktoberfest, which ones do you like? Classics? What's good?
Oh, wow. I just had a great one from Warwick Farm.
Oh, okay.
Because I was there for a collaboration.
Uh-huh.
We'll have some on this trip. But we're just entering the season, so it's like not
this year
top of mind.
This is my first one this year. Or not
Oh,
today,
yeah.
but I
No,
just mean
but yeah.
from Tröegs. But
Right.
that's a hard question. I'd have to think about that one a little bit.
I mean, the ones we get over here, I always watch for Hacker-Shore. I like Hacker-Shore a lot.
Imports. I mean, longtime favorites. You mentioned stouts. That one's not been with us for a little while, but that was always one that was enjoyable.
Yeah,
and even Victory, phenomenal fest there too. But it's been a while since I've had that one.
That was always really good.
Yeah,
has been a minute, but
yeah. I mean, it was the first beer they ever brewed.
For real?
Yeah, I was actually there. I was there a month before they opened, and they were brewing fest beer.
God, they make some great lagers.
Yeah,
you really do.
Yeah,
I can't think of others right now. It
just kind of blends into this amber-colored blur, right?
I tend to like the drier ones, the ones that are caramely and sweet.
Yeah, agreed.
It sounds like I have a mission now to go out and find some. I'll text you some answers. Then.
Homework. There you go. Yeah,
homework.
Yeah.
That is our homework.
We like that kind of homework.
We are professionals.
Gentlemen, thank you. That's all I got. Good time.
Thanks.
Good to see you both.
Great.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Lou.
We took a walk around the brewery afterward. My, how it's grown. Tröegs is now one of the 25 largest American craft brewers. Well over 100,000 barrels produced a year. That's about 1.5 million cases. But that's just an estimate because I'm working with 2023 figures, and Tröegs just keeps growing. We did get a look at something pretty geeky that I'm interested in. They're completing installation of a carbon dioxide reclamation system. It captures the CO2 from fermentation, cleans it, dries it, and compresses it to be used for carbonating the finished beer. The brewery had some supply issues with carbon dioxide during the pandemic supply chain crunch, and they want to be more independent. I mean, it's in their name. John insisted on giving me a couple of cases of beer to take home, and I'll be honest, I let him because I have a hard time saying no to good beer. I'm just letting you know when I get free stuff, like I've always said I would. Now, let's talk about some Central Pennsylvania Oktoberfests. I have to start with Millheim's Oktoberfest, of course. The fest in the smack dab center of the Keystone State will be held on Saturday, September 26th from noon to 5. Elk Creek Cafe will release this year's Oktoberfest, and you can feast on brats, ham and cheese on pretzel rolls, soft pretzels, potato salad, and the fest's renowned sauerkraut salad. And, I've been told, maybe schnitzel, if we can get it at a reasonable price. Maybe. And there is a live German band from 12:30 to 4. Sadly, I will not be there this year. It's the first one I've missed since before we moved here. Pains me, truth be told. But I will be home for the Mifflinburg Oktoberfest the following weekend. That's 2 days. Friday, October 2nd from 1 to 10, and Saturday the 3rd from 11 to 9, rain or shine, in the Mifflinburg Community Park. German music on Saturday, plenty of food trucks, and a great selection of 6 German Oktoberfests, plus Mifflinburg's own Rusty Rails Oktoberfest. This is the 21st annual fest, and it's always a good time. And we've got some fall festivals here as well, so I'm going to just throw them in. That same weekend as Mifflinburg is the Dutch Fall Fest in Ahrensburg, and they're only about 20 minutes apart. You might as well grab both. Saturday the 3rd and Sunday the 4th celebrates the 50th annual Dutch Fall Fest. You can bet we're going to be there for that one. There's music from 7 different bands, jazz, psychedelic roots, bit of bluegrass. There's craft and sticky buns that are baked right there on site and great fresh soups. Small town, big festival. Man, the bicentennial was a busy time. The Milton Harvest Festival is also celebrating their 50th annual. All week, September 12th through the 19th, in Milton, across the river from Lewisburg. You know I can't resist history. This fest started as the Tomato Harvest Festival, with the original Chef Boyardee as the Grand Marshal. Really, Hector Boyardee himself. The stuff's made right there in Milton. There are races, parades, concerts, beauty pageants, a crafts fair, and plenty of food. And you can bet tomatoes are featured. More information is at miltonharvestfestival.com. Another week-long fest runs from September 14th through the 19th, northeast of Lewistown in McClure. This is the 135th anniversary of the McClure Bean Soup Festival and Fair, a traditional get-together of Civil War veterans that originated to honor their encampments during the war. Yes, there really is a lot of bean soup cooked over open fires in as many as 16 35-gallon iron cauldrons. There are harvest contests, chili contests, ice cream making contests, a milk chugging contest, and a shoebox float contest. Get more info by searching McClure Bean Soup Festival on the web. Believe me, it's easier than me repeating their arcane web address to you. Finally, the Cassville Oktoberfest is in southern Huntingdon County. It started 50 years ago. Hey, look at that! As a Lions Club pig roast, and it's grown quite a bit. More cauldron-cooked soup, chicken barbecue, a fresh-pressed cider sale, donuts, but, no beer. I'm sure it's all delicious, but an Oktoberfest without beer? You maybe need another name. If that's your thing, though, it's September 25th and 26th. Find their information at Cassville Oktoberfest on Facebook. Hey, Kathy and I got our tickets for Another World Music Festival. If you haven't had a chance, go back to last episode and listen to my interview with festival organizer Eric Dash. It's going to be 3 great days of music down by Pine Creek between Coburn and Woodward on September 11th through the 13th. I hope to see you there. And here's the last report for a while on the new book. My collaborator, illustrator M. Sauter of Pints and Panels webcomic, came down from Connecticut last week, and we came up with ideas for the last 20 pages of illustrations. Mostly that's about distillation, the intricacies of pot stills and column stills. And we put a lot of thought and effort into making sure everything was correct and understandable. And if you've been thinking that this is just a cartoon book, it's not. This is an illustrated guide to whiskey that's based in the best facts, because both Em and I are sticklers for getting it right. So she's working on those final illustrations, and I just sent her the finished glossary on Sunday. So we're looking good for getting it in by the September 1st deadline. Some of you have asked when the book will be out. We haven't actually been given a date other than second half of 2027. We'll let you know when they give us a better date and start planning events. Until then, I guess I'll have to find something else to talk about. Speaking of that, by the time you hear this, we'll be in Philly doing last-minute prep for my son's wedding, which is this Saturday. I'll let you know how it went when we get back. In fact, the next episode is probably going to be about that and the short trip to Rhode Island Kath and I are taking after that. There may or may not be an interview, I'm not sure. But for now, that's the show. Thanks to John and Chris Trogner for the interview and for the beers you sent home with me. Your generosity was appreciated that night in Penns Valley. As always, you can find pictures for this episode on Instagram at Stag Podcast and on Facebook at Seen Through a Glass. If you're listening to the show on the radio at WSOV, there are over 80 more episodes to enjoy at Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or any of the major podcast sources. How much beer is consumed at the Munich Oktoberfest? One year, I sat down and figured this out for a story I was writing, and I never forgot it. As I told you before, they drink around 6.5 million liters of beer at the festival. That's a huge number, but how to visualize it? How huge is it? Is it enough to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool? Well, no. It's quite a bit more than that. It's literally enough to float a battleship. A small battleship. I'm a bit of a battleship nerd, and I found one that fit the bill. Specifically, the Swedish coastal defense battleships of the Sverige class. A favorite of mine, because they packed a lot of firepower into a small package, even more so than the Germans' so-called pocket battleships of World War II. Pour all that Oktoberfest beer into a dry dock with the Sverige in it, and she'd float. That's a powerful amount of beer. Sorry, I can really get silly when it comes to battleships, or covered bridges, or town names. The next episode, you just heard, sounds like we're going to be winging it. Should be fun. Until then, thanks for listening. This is Lou Bryson on Seen Through a Glass from the smack dab center of the Keystone State.